Well, 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 we have ourselves quite a few interesting Canucks things to talk about, and we're going to be doing this all from the Sportsnet.ca article published by Ian McIntyre, as well as some tweets too. So, this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Use the affiliate link in the description to go out there and get some free months on your VPN. It helps the channel out, so thank you very much. And I'll also leave a link in the description to this article published by Ian McIntyre, Canucks Mid-Season Report. Consistency has been a problem, but not resilience. This article is interesting because it is a long interview done with Rick Tocchet. Let's go out there and read some of these extra comments by Tocchet, the Canucks head coach, as to how the team has survived and progressed throughout the season. The article opens up by talking about the slew of injuries: Hronek, Miller, Joshua, Pettersson, Hughes. It seems like every other day there's something that's been thrown on our plate, Rick Tocchet said. I've spent a lot of energy around different things. There's holes in the dike, and you've only got so many fingers. Yeah, okay, that's certainly a way to talk about it. Okay. I think the adversity that's hit, hopefully it's going to make some individuals stronger for it. And you know, there's some guys here that we need to play better. A chunk of them. You can't worry about their first 40 games, they've got to worry about their next 40. Speaking about 40... yeah, I think Elias Pettersson is right in there. Anyways, I've got to own up to whatever I've got to own, he told us. I always think that I can fix everything. I think I can teach everything, and I think we can win. I would never take this job, or I wouldn't coach, if I just came to the rink and thought, it's not me, it's the players. I've got to take responsibility. And if the players do too, the Canucks' second half will be better than the first. Here are some key stats as posted by IMAC. The Canucks right now are 19-13-10, which is 4th in the Pacific and 13th in the NHL. They have a .293 goals for per game, which is 19th in the league, and they've got a 3.07 goals against per game, which is 15th in the league. Their power play is 14th in the NHL with 22.2%, and their PK at 81.5% is 12th best in the NHL. The Vancouver Canucks, with all these stats in mind, are one of the most mid teams in the entire National Hockey League, and that's not really all too surprising. I mean, they've been very up and down, hot and cold throughout the course of this season, so them having very even average results certainly is not a surprise. Now, the rest of the article goes over some other stories, how Lankinen has been good and how Quinn Hughes has been great too. There are disappointments talked about here as well. Höglander has been a disappointment this year. The most concerning disappointments have been alpha forwards JT Miller and Elias Pettersson, and not because they were never close friends, but because neither star has been able to locate and maintain the elite form for which the Canucks are paying them nearly $20 million together. Alpha. Let's keep that word in mind as we talk about JT Miller, because the rest of the article is a really good read. You can go out there and read it on your own time, but I wanted to talk about JT Miller being an alpha, because this actually isn't the only area in which these two things are linked together. The concept of being an alpha and the player JT Miller. Let's go over onto Taj's Twitter account, because what he did was he tweeted out some of the quotes from one Bruce Boudreau on the 100% Hockey Pod. This was from earlier this morning, and it goes over some of those same ideas. Bruce Boudreau talked about how he treated Pettersson and Ovechkin similarly. Basically, they both needed constant positive reinforcement to build them up. You can't go out there and start doubting Elias Pettersson and have him play well afterwards. You need to be confident in him, and you need to verbally express it. You need to say, hey, you're good, you can do this, let's go. Good job. These things help players like this who need more positive reinforcement rather than, let's say, the contrary. Boudreau said this about JT: he's a really strong personality. He's the dominant one in the room, and Pettersson is the very quiet one in the room. Inside, Elias Pettersson wants to be the best. And this is the quote that I think really ties it all together with a bow. Bruce Boudreau on how he motivated JT and EP differently. With EP, he would tell him, you're playing against McDavid tonight because you're the best guy to go against him. With Miller, it's the opposite. You say, you can't do that. You think you're good enough, but you can't do that. And then JT would respond by saying, oh, okay, you think I'm not good enough? Okay, I'll show you good enough. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wreck worlds. I'm going to eat mountains. I'm going to destroy planets. I'm going to do everything. And that is how you get the best out of JT. Very, very different styles, but you could understand how each of them would be effective here. It's the reverse psychology, it's the direct praise. One of them needs one, the other needs the other. So I really did find value out of these Boudreau comments, and of course, you know, I'm not a coach, I'm not in the room with the Canucks, I'm not Rick Tocchet, I'm not gonna implement any of these ideas into my own coaching of Elias Pettersson or whatever, but still, it's interesting for fans to come to this realization that these guys are so very different that you can't even treat them the same in the locker room. You have to think about their personalities and what makes them click, and you have to try to cater your coaching style to bring the best value out of them based off of what they are, based off of who they are, based off of their personalities and what they value more. If Pettersson is more in that Alex Ovechkin mold, where you can't really go out there and criticize them, you can't say, oh, you're not getting this matchup because you're not good enough, haha. You can't say that to them because they'll feel bad, and then they're not going to perform well because they feel bad. Like, some players, I feel, they really just kind of shrivel away, and you can tell when they're not confident in themselves or in their abilities, and when it gets to that point, you can see it definitely take a stranglehold on how they affect the game, usually in a negative way. They start making bad plays, the puck gets turned over, they don't take the proper shots, or the passes, they're all off, and that's where Elias Pettersson falters, when he's not in that frame of mind. It's like when he had scored those 2 goals against the Sharks. He said on the Amazon Prime interview, yeah, it was good for me because I'm able to remind myself that I've still got it. And that is something that Bruce Boudreau was able to utilize to his advantage. You have to tell him you're playing against McDavid because you're the best guy to go against him. You can't be reverse psychologying him and yelling at him, telling him to do the opposite. JT, you can do that with him. He's a really strong personality. He's the dominant one in the room. But Pettersson is very quiet, and he can't do that. And finally, before we end off this video, I wanted to go over one more thing that was talked about on social media. This was from Elliot Friedman's Twitter earlier today. Rick Tocchet said that Filip Hronek is a game-time decision tomorrow against the Winnipeg Jets. And you know, I do feel kinda, a little bit weird about this, because it's been sort of an idea the past little while that the Vancouver Canucks might just be one of the worst teams in the NHL when it comes to rushing their guys back. Players that are hurt or are sick or are out, needing to come back sooner than they should, either because the team is struggling or they just really want to get their players back. Quinn Hughes is playing with one hand. And sure, he's looking really good with one hand, but still, he's only got one hand. It's not a question as to whether or not he's capable of playing, because he is. It's just whether or not this is really the best choice for his development. For Rick Tocchet and Filip Hronek, seems like a similar thing is going on here, since we had heard initially that Hronek might be out until, what, February? Maybe March? I don't know. It's been a while. I mean, he was out since the end of November, so I guess we're in a position now where he's sort of rounding himself back up and coming back. But for now, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about all this Canucks stuff, from Ian McIntyre and Rick Tocchet's comments on the team, to the Elias Pettersson, Bruce Boudreau conversation, as well as the updates on Filip Hronek, and whether or not he'll play tomorrow against the Winnipeg Jets. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.